Hello everyone, you are on cg.plus.com. I'm Marcy and I present you the third day of our introduction to Vue 9 xStream. Today what we're gonna see is the second type of terrain available in Vue, which are the procedural terrains. Okay, in this tutorial what we're gonna cover is the basics of procedural terrains. I mean by this, the main difference between basic and procedural terrains. Okay, we're gonna see how to edit functions for creating some random or specific terrains using filters, blending two fractals, or it will give you the ability to blend, or how could we say that, merge two terrain for creating some specific terrains, I'd say, and we're gonna see some extras. Okay, so let's switch to Vue 9. Okay, here we are. So I'm gonna just reset, okay, to default. Here we are, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to create a procedural terrain. You have here two buttons. Here we have the first one, which will create standard high fidelity terrain, and the second one will create a procedural terrain. Okay, so if you take a closer look, you'll see the function sign here, the F I mean here, and I'll explain a little bit later what this stands for. Okay, so I'm gonna just click, and I have a random terrain that has been generated. As you can see here, we have the same low F above the terrain icon. Okay, so I'm gonna just explain now what's the difference between procedural and basic terrains. In a clear way, procedural terrains are generated by Vue based on a mathematical rule or mathematical function. So we have an infinite amount of details. I'm gonna explain. We're gonna make some previews at different levels of zooming level. Okay, so I'm gonna just maximize my view just by double clicking the blue ribbon here. Here we are. I just placed my camera so we don't lose time. Okay, I'm gonna do some preview renders. Okay, so I'm gonna just click right here, and you can see that already we have pretty much details on our terrain here, and we're gonna again zoom a little bit more, or grab our camera over here. Okay, so and just like this. Okay, I just want to show you and here you can see how much detail we have in our terrain, and as I get closer to our terrain, we'll have more and more details. This means that we're gonna have infinite detail, as I mentioned it before. Okay, so this is the main difference between procedural and basic terrains. As you can see, wherever you point your camera, you have this amount of detail which is really high, and as you can see, you'd never have as much details as you can see here with a simple terrain. And to be honest, this is, I think, with the function editor, the most powerful or the core of Vue. I think they really managed their shot, as you can see. Okay, I think we've just covered the basics of procedural terrain. I think also I'm gonna show you, as with the simple terrains, right clicking will give you the ability to load some presets of procedural terrain. Here we have blobby, a simple procedural terrain, we have pile of rubble. So I'm not just recreate another one and it will create a new terrain. Okay, so let's see how to edit this one. We have, as we've seen before, three manners. We can double click on this one and we go to the terrain editor, do right click, edit object. Okay, object, edit object, use the shortcut Control E. Okay, a lot of manners. Double clicking this one, briefly you access the terrain editor by any way you want, and I think we can see all the window here, but it's alright, we're gonna manage this. Okay, I'm gonna just okay, as you can see here we always have presets here, but as you can always procedural presets. Okay, so I'm just uncheck this one, which will unsmooth the nearby the edges here. Okay, I'm just so we can see the terrain. As you can see, it's pretty interesting right now, and I'm gonna reset all sculpting and painting like this. Okay, and now I'm gonna right click and reset function. As you can see, we have just a simple plane. Okay, now what we're gonna do is right click on this sphere and we have some options here. Okay, so we have edit function, copy function, paste, reset. Okay, loud function. Here for example, if I click loud function, Vue gonna open a window of collection which contains a variety of function. As you can see, we have basic, which are simple functions, bumps, as you can see here. This ones you can use them in material editor, as you can see later on, or simply in your terrains. And here we have some example here, but I would just want to point to the terrain altitudes. Okay, in this one we have a pretty much huge collection, not huge as that, but it's we have some 22 preset here, going from the alien desert to the volcano mountains, and you can choose any one of these. And just double clicking, I'm just choose this one and double click, and it will automatically generate my terrain. And if I click OK, it will apply, and here I'm gonna have my mountain, as you can see. Okay, here it is, and we could probably apply specific material and have it ready to render. I just want to point out the amount of detail, and I want to insist on this. I know because it's really impressive and really interesting, especially for close-ups and when you're flying, I don't know, between mountains or terrains or anything like this. I'm gonna just reset and create procedural terrain, and double click on this one and right click reset function. Okay, as you can see, this problem I want to point out too, you have this little elevation here, and this is because of the smoothed edges nearby, or the smooth terrain nearby edges. Okay, so just by unchecking this one, you'll have your terrain. Okay, here also you can change the scale and or here just by clicking this one you load a function, and here you can change the scale. For example, if I loaded again my mountain range here, as you can see, I can now just reduce the scale and have much more mountain. As you can see, really easy to use, intuitive. Okay, as you can see, I can load another one like this one and just drop down the scale. I'm gonna have, as you can see, just play with these options here. I think you can have some really interesting results. Alien Desert here, and just this one I think you can have, as you can see, if I dropped again, you're gonna have more detail, and this is pretty interesting. And here we can just selecting some filters like this, and it creates for you specific. I think it's really easy to use. You just have to create the profile of your terrain, and it will do it for you. As you can see here, if you create some stalagmite or stalactite. Okay, so easy. Just reset this one, reset again this one, and here you have the mapping mode depending on your needs. You have fast shadow, force extension. This is pretty easy to use. Quality boost, we don't need it. And now let's see the fun part, if I could call it like this, which is editing the functions. And here we are with the function editor. As I said, the function editor is for me the main core of Vue. It's a really powerful editor. It's an editor, if I could say. Sorry, I paused the video because of my cousin just entered in my room, so okay, sorry for this. And as I said, it's a powerful editor, and I think I don't find my words to say how much I really like the function editor, because it offers unlimited abilities, and it's just with a graphical interface or a UI which is rather difficult to get familiar with it. But we're gonna see how to use this one. So I'm gonna just move. Now we have the basic button, and here we have this dialog. We're gonna use some of the, here we have filters, combiners, and some mathematical functions as fractals and noise. And here I'm just gonna move my window right here. I think just we can see the two here, my terrains. I'm just zoom out, and here why I'm doing this, because I want to see the update of my terrain as I'm creating my fractals at real time, or at certain level of real time. So I'll just explain how to create procedural terrains. Procedural terrains gonna use a fractal map here, generated fractal map, and then create your terrain. So let's take an example. I just click on add fractal node, and here it will add a node, and what we're gonna modify is the altitude. So what I'm gonna do is take this arrow here and connect it with the simple fractal, or the fractal node here, and it will pop up a little dialog box here, and we have to choose between rough areas or altitude. What we want to modify is especially the altitude. Okay, so I'm gonna click it, and I'll show you now how to configure your fractal or to modify your fractal. Okay, here we are in the fractal node. Okay, here I think from Vue 7, or I don't know, we have the ability to choose a terrain fractal, which will let you the ability to create terrains, procedural terrains easily. Okay, so let's just choose the terrain fractal and start modifying it to see what we can create. Okay, here we can just choose a title and a description. For example, here you can type whatever you want depending on your needs, as I said, and here you can choose the description. What I want to do is just click on the terrain editor, see the update, and here you can see that I haven't modified anything. That's the default configuration, and as you can see, we already started to have some nice terrains. As you can see, really high level of details, and I'm really satisfied until now. Okay, back to the fractal node here. I'm gonna explain how to modify or what these options here stand for. Okay, here we have the wavelength. So what is the wavelength? This will let you the ability to stretch your terrain. Let me explain. I'm just changed the X to 5 and hit enter, and now in the terrain editor, if I right click, you can see here that my terrain is completely stretched out. Okay, if I reduced again to, I don't know, if I went to like 15, and as you can see, it gets more stretchy. And let's see, for example, if I put it 15 in all the 3 axes, you can see that I have a bigger terrain. Now let's just put these ones to default and get back to our terrain. And here you can easily also put some really low values like 0.5, and you'll have a less stretched terrain or more detailed terrain as you want. Okay, this is the origin of the fractal. 0, 0, 0 means it's, oops, sorry. And here we are in the meta scale. Here you can define the origin here by just moving like, I don't know, 20 here, and you can see it's just moving our, if I bring it back to 0, just okay, we are back to all of them. So what is meta scale? So meta scale is, I think, the general scale of your terrain. For example, if I bring it to, I don't know how much, 10,000, 100, or okay, 10,000, you see that my terrain is really stretched, as we've seen with the wavelength. Okay, if I bring it back to lower value like, I don't know, 5, and clicked my terrain editor, I will see that we've got a more detailed, or a high level of detail. In a way, it's the distance or the scale of your geology here, if I could say. Okay, so for high values you have a really flat surface, and with low values you'll have a really rocky or mountain or whatever you want. So I'm now bring it back to like 10. Okay, just, and here you can change the value just to have, and I will explain what meta scale state for. Meta scale means that this parameter gonna affect all others coming below. Okay, so if we create, for example, if I had a really flat surface, we are sure that we don't gonna have some details and some features that we're gonna add with these options here. Okay, so I'm just put it to a regular value of 10 just to have the maximum here, and I mean the minimum for to see what these parameters here affect. Okay, and now let's talk about the largest feature. The largest feature is somehow the largest detail, if I could say. For example, if I bring it high, you'll see that we're gonna lose a lot of details, as you can see. Okay, and if I kept very low values, you're gonna see that we have a pretty high level of detail, as you can see right here. Okay, so in a way, the more you put it, the more you're gonna have bigger, I don't know, surfaces or something, and then you lose details. And if I bring it back up to 1, you're gonna see that we have more detail, less detail, sorry, compared to the lower values. I think minimum of 3 would be nice here. Okay, the smallest feature are the small details, if I could say. Same thing as the largest feature. The more you have, and the more you're gonna lose detail. As you can see, we don't lose the heights because it's only concern the smallest parts, but we lose all the terrain details, as you can see. And if we kept very low values, you see the level of detail we're gonna have, which is pretty high. Okay, as you can see. And now we have the roughness. This is a parameter which will work together with the gain. Okay, so if I put it roughness to 1, you're gonna see that we have sort of, I don't know, this weird thing, but you see that we have a lot of detail. And if I bring it down to like 001, we're gonna lose our details, as you can see. Pretty easy to understand and to use. And the thing is, you just play with this parameter and see or how do they affect your terrain, how do you use them. So I think at the level of 0.6 we're gonna have a pretty good amount of detail. Yeah, pretty good. And let's see the gain. The gain works. If you take a look here, if you take a look here at the fractal here, you're gonna see that the more we have gain, the more contrasted our map will be, and the less we have gain, the less contrasted will be our map will be. So if I put it to 10 and bring it the roughness to 0, you're gonna see that we have pretty much nothing, as you can see. Something really weird. Now if I bring roughness to like 1, you're gonna see that we really have a really contrasted map here, and you're gonna see that it's a little bit weird, as you can see. So just bring the roughness back a bit, and here you can see the gain, how the gain affects our terrain. So let's bring it back, and as you can see, and you can just play with small values, and you'll see that you have really interesting results, as you can see here. I think it's alright like this. Okay, yeah, I think it's alright. Now I'm not just go through these ones really rapidly. Here we have the variation strength. in some way it will give you the ability to quantify, how could we say that, to make the noise variation more visible. Okay, so the variation here, if I bring it down, you're gonna see that we're gonna have a little more details. If I could say, if I bring it to 0.08, 0.8, sorry, 0.8, and you can see that we have a little extra detail. And if I bring it to 1, you can see that it's a little bit more smoothed out, and you have just to play with the settings and see what you get. Okay, and so here we have the smooth. If I can just the smooth, if I just bring it down to lower values, you're gonna see that it's affecting our terrain. And if I bring it back to 3, you're gonna see that it's less smoothed and more harsh, and it was smooth area altitude. And here I think it's pretty self-explained, don't have to lose time. Here you can create some distortion, like as we've seen before with the preset here. As you can see, some distortion, okay, some, I think, reverse right there, something like this, I don't know. So bump shears, etc., rigid smoothness. This is our pretty basic functions, or functions or parameters. And here we have I think pretty cool terrain. Okay, we can just take a quick look. So I'm just go out of the function editor and delete my terrain, reset view. Okay, and what I'm